Thank you very much, Ceri.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you here. Right, like you, I run a small business, and I know that the pressures of running a small business can often mean you forget to do the important things like marketing, which is the way to get the word out. So I want to talk to you about doing your PR on a shoestring, and you can do it yourself. So it really is doable. So most people don't even know really what PR is and how it differs from advertising. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is. So basically, PR is a cost-effective way of using multiple media channels to communicate your message to your target audience. Now, 90% of what you read in newspapers that isn't news is actually PR. So you can see here, there's product placements, there's personal stories, there's case studies and expert advice. So anytime you see a product and you think, oh, how did that get there? Most of the time it's the work of a PR agency. It really is a much more cost-effective way of working than advertising. The public is very cynical about advertising. So they know, if you've placed an advert somewhere, they know that you've paid £1,000 for the advert, and therefore they don't take it as seriously because it's you saying, my product is great. Well, you're going to say that, aren't you? Let's be honest. Also, it's much more cost effective than advertising because if you spend £1,000 on advertising, you get £1,000 worth of space. If you invest £1,000 in PR, you're far more likely to see wider results. So, for example, the Grazia piece here, these are our clients Pitch Perfect. We've been working with them for about 2 months. I'm not telling you how much they pay us, but when I tell you that they've been featured in a double-page spread in Grazia, they're going to be on the Lorraine show in a few weeks' time. They've been on Good Morning TV talking about the election. They've been in various business magazines, and you can't buy that kind of publicity. Now, okay, they're using us, but there are things that you can do yourselves to get yourself out there. So PR is like a third-party endorsement. If people see you out there, they think, oh, well, a journalist is saying this is good, so it must be. So it's really worth considering how to do it yourself. So the first thing to do before you start your... Oh, bloody hell. That wasn't supposed to happen. Where's it gone? Oops. Help. So preparation is everything.
It's this one, isn't it?
It's the final one. There you go.
This one?
Oh, no, hang on. It's that one, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, which one?
That's right, yeah. Need to go back. Right, sorry about that. We're back in the room. So, first thing you need to do is identify your target audience. So, who are they? Because you can't reach them unless you know who they are. And you also need to work out what communications channels to use. So, I mean, have you got is it a national product or service? Oh, clearly this is not my skill set. Is it a national product or service? Is it only available in certain areas? Because there's no point in getting in the national press if you can only sell your product in Buckinghamshire, for example. And there's no point pitching to the travel press if you're pitching a health product. You've really got to find a targeted way of doing it. Are your products available online? Because if they're available online, then you can go in the national press because they're available everywhere. But you know, your time is precious, so there's no point in wasting your time doing things that aren't going to actually result in sales for you, because that's essentially what you want from this process. Who will your product benefit? Is it individuals or is it businesses? If it's individuals, there's probably no point in being in the business press. If it's an HR software package, there's probably no point in being in the consumer press. And I know all this stuff seems really basic, but quite often journalists will get calls from PRs sometimes, and they don't understand who they're pitching to. And it's really important because your time is precious, like I say, and you've really got to focus your activities. If it is individuals, who is it? Are they young or old, men or women? So if your ideal client is a middle-aged man, you don't necessarily want to be talking to Grazia. And if your ideal client is a 20-something woman, you don't want to be talking to Saga. And too many people build a press list, press go, without actually considering who it is that they're talking to. So once you've found out who your target audience is, you need to find out which media is going to be most appropriate for them. And again, research. Research is the most important message I can give you today, because lots of people seriously do not understand who their target audience is and what their target audience is reading. And if you think about the kind of things that you read, you'll see how relevant it is You read the kind of magazines that's going to be interesting to you, don't you? I know that sounds obvious again, but you need to think about it. So what kind of media channels? They could include national newspapers and magazines, regional newspapers and magazines, national and local radio and television, digital media, so blogs or online magazines, and social media, so Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, etc. If you're based locally and you only sell your product locally, it's really worth making friends with your local newspapers because you can tell them your news and they are interested. A lot of people think the media is only interested in bad news stories, but actually the reality is that they want happy stories. And if you are local, we also forget that local newspapers are under a lot of pressure at the moment because their budgets are being cut. So if you can provide them with stories, they will appreciate it and they'll come to you in future. So, I mean, if you're going to go to the local press, you could do things like award wins, anniversaries, events, products. My company had its 10th anniversary a couple of years ago, and we held a big event at a local venue, and we invited the press along, and we had about, 100 people there or something, but we had our own photographer there as well. So we had the event, and afterwards we sent a press release to the local press saying CERUB PR celebrated its 10th anniversary, and we had loads of people picking up on it, and we had really nice pieces in the local business press, because they wanted to celebrate with us, and it helped them fill space. So this was good. Oops. If you're relevant to national media outlets, again, research the media you'd like to target, because our businesses like yours appearing in the media. I bet that sometimes you open a magazine and you think, hang on, why is my competition in here and I'm not? Everybody does that. And the reason they're in there is because they're targeting the media with the right information. Which sections are they appearing in? Is it travel, money, business, lifestyle, that sort of thing? And how are they being seen? Is it product reviews? Is it product mentions or personal profiles? You know, for some of you, personal profiles probably aren't going to be the right way to go unless you're targeting your local media. But people like Thea Green, who runs Nails Inc., she's done a lot to promote her company by promoting herself. Same with Michelle Moan. Everyone's heard of Ultimo, partly because she's been promoting her own personal story. Now, I can't stress enough, I'm sure all of you are on social media, but if you're not, you really need to be on social media. You need to be sharing information about your business to your local business community. You need to be posting links to your blogs, which I hope you're all writing. You need to talk to your followers and start conversations, and you can run competitions. So tell them if you're holding a special day in the shop. Tell them if you're launching a new product. Tell them your news. And talk to them. If somebody asks you a question, go back to them. And I know it seems obvious again, but so many businesses fail on customer service purely because they're not talking to their customers and finding out what their customers want from them. There are a few businesses who do it really well, and I would suggest that you check out your competition and see how they're doing it, and if you're not, copy them. Also get to know bloggers via social media. Research the ones who might be interested in you and your products, because if they can start talking about you, then that helps with your social media as well. On top of the bloggers as well, actually, you want to make sure they're proper bloggers. I know a lot of people who have set up blogs which are basically a free way to get products through. So they've set up beauty blogs, sent out a media request for all these beauty products, and then they've got an entirely new makeup collection, but they don't blog about it. So don't waste time and money contacting people who aren't going to be actually taking you seriously and trying to promote you. When you get press coverage, you need to use it. Now, we have a lot of clients who we present them with this great coverage, and they're like, oh, that's great, and they put it in a drawer and forget about it. Now, if you're in the Telegraph for one day, and the next day you're gone. So you need to use it to make it go as far as possible. So, like I say, tweet it, Facebook it, put it on Instagram, use it. Our client here, Annie, she has been seen in Mail Online, OK, BBC Berkshire, etc., etc. And she put this on the home page of her website. So as soon as potential clients go there, they go, oh, OK, so we must take her seriously because she's somebody who really knows what she's talking about. And it's a great thing. It gives her real credibility. Actually, I've pinched something from somebody today. So some shops forget to use their PR as well. They don't display it. And I've just met a nice lady from Silver Service Jewellery on stand A51. And she's got all these on her stall, on her stand. And she's showing off her media coverage. There's loads of this stuff. And it really shows you that she's made an effort to get in these magazines. And this gives her real credibility. It makes the business look, I don't know how big the business is, but it makes the business look like a force to be reckoned with. And mention it in your marketing materials as well. If you're doing any other marketing, mention it in there, as seen in, for example. And also, you need to track what you're doing. So get Google Analytics if you don't have it already, and track what's working for you, because some things will work and some things don't, and you're better off focusing your time on the things that work. We've been looking at our marketing materials ourselves recently, because we have the same issues everyone else does in terms of time pressures. And we've been sending out newsletters. And over the course of the last 5 months, we've really noticed which ones have had clicks through to the websites, which ones people haven't been reading. And it's actually interesting to see what the results are. And now we know how to do things better, because we're in PR, not marketing, so that's a whole different thing. But we know how to do it better now, and you need to be watching what you're doing. There's a lot of arguments in the PR industry at the moment about whether press releases are dead. Press releases are the main way of communicating with the press, and as I said, a lot of local newspapers are having their budgets cut. So if you can present them with something that's a fully formed piece of work that they can run in the newspaper, they will love you and they will come back to you. So read what's in your local newspaper and see how things are being presented and what your competition are saying, and then write something that the newspaper can use. And I've got some tips for you on how to do this. And also, when you're speaking to a journalist, if you do call a journalist, they will ask you for a press release, so you might as well do it. So the press releases must include who, what, where, why, and when. The story needs to be in the first paragraph, fundamentally, because people need to know to bother to read down. So put all the key information in the first paragraph and more detail further down. You need to keep it short, so it shouldn't be longer than 1 page. People just don't have the time to be reading reams and reams of information. No matter how interesting you think it is, pick out the really key points you want to get across and stick to your message. Come up with a catchy headline. Again, that's something that people will read and think, oh, that's an interesting story, I'm going to read down. I saw something brilliant in the press yesterday, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but I wish I'd brought it, because it got my attention immediately, and I read it, and it was quite a boring story, but the headline was what made the story. Include an image as well to grab attention, so get professional photographs taken, and they need to be at least 300 DPI, otherwise they're not high-res enough to be featured in the press. The photographs, again, will get people's attention, and they show that you've got products that are interesting, that are fun, that look good, basically, and that's what they want to fill their pages. And if all else fails, get a picture of yourself, because they quite like using those too. Ensure all the information in your press release is accurate. So dates, times of events, for example, the website details. Don't include spelling mistakes, and put your correct contact information. Even proper PR agencies that we've worked with previously have forgotten to put the dates of really important events. And I know it sounds so obvious, but people forget. And if you don't include your website, how are people going to find you? I feel a bit silly telling you this because it's so obvious, but it really is worth having a checklist of things to remember. So, how to contact the media. And this is probably the most important thing that I can share with you. So most magazines and newspapers carry journalist details. Now, we obviously have access to a database, but newspapers and magazines, they tend to hide them away, but you can find them, and you can find them online. But track them down and keep a note of them. Now, just recently, I was doing some research for something. I think it was the piece for Grazia, and I just happened to have Grazia on my desk. And I thought, oh, I wonder if this story would be appropriate for Grazia. And I happened to have it on my desk. I couldn't be bothered to go into the database and find the details. So I just went through the page with the contact details for everyone at Grazia. And I rang the features editor and said, we're working on this, is it of interest? And we got the double page spread. Now, literally, that's how easy it was. Obviously, I had to sort of do a bit of toing and froing, but you sold in the story right, and they use it. So build your media list, which details names and emails and phone numbers of key publications, because if you've got that down, you can keep going back to it and use it again. So if you are going to send a press release out via email, send it with a short covering note. Again, the note should be kind of very detailed, not detailed, but give an overview of what the press release is about to make them read down. And after you've sent the press release, get on the phone. This is the most important thing. Talk to people. You can't rely on email because journalists get hundreds of emails every day, and they often just press delete because they don't have time. So get on the phone and talk to them, get to know them. We had a case a few years ago. We had a client that we really wanted to get into Stella magazine in the Telegraph, and we knew that her story would be perfect for a certain page in the Telegraph. And I think we sent the journalist 20 emails in the end, and we called her about 10 times. And the final phone call and the final email, she said, that's a fantastic story, I'll run it. And we got a page in the Telegraph. But if we hadn't persisted, then it wouldn't have worked. So be persistent, don't just give up. And if a journalist says no to you, no, I'm not interested, find out why and how you can change your story to suit them. Because it might be that, oh, it's not newsworthy enough, or it might be that, oh, well, this product isn't suitable. And then find out, well, what product would be suitable? You know, you've got to find a way around the journalists and be persistent. I can't stress that enough. And track your progress. So make notes of conversations to refer back to. So when you've spoken to a journalist, they might say, oh, I'm not working on a feature like that right now, but they might be working on a feature like that in 2 months, in which case, make a note to call them back in 2 months. And that's what we do. We actually have a database, we put it in our diaries, call this magazine in 2 months. You know, plan ahead and make sure that you're spending time, you set aside time each month to spend on databases and media contact. So, media lead times. Most people don't realise how far ahead the media work. Because if you're talking to a magazine, for example, like a national glossy magazine, they have a lead time of up to 5 months. So where are we now? We're in May, so May, June, July. So we're kind of working on sort of September issues right now of long lead magazines, which always makes my birthday come around much too quickly for me, but hey-ho. So you need to plot your media activity. So if any of you are working on products that might be good Christmas presents, you've got to start selling those in now. Local magazines, I'm sure most of you have local glossy magazines in your area. In our area, it's Buckinghamshire Life. But they have a lead time of about 8 weeks. So go to them. And I mean, if you need longer, then give it 9, 10 weeks, just to make sure your product or your service gets in. Local weekly newspapers have a lead time of about 1 to 2 weeks. So if you've got an event, let them know as soon as possible, but 1 to 2 weeks is the average, because they can't think beyond that, because obviously they're working on breaking news. And national newspapers have a very short lead time for news, but supplements, which is I guess what you guys are mostly looking for, have quite a long lead time of about 2 months. But you'll learn this, and when you speak to the journalists, ask them. The worst they can say is no, so you know, just ask them what their lead times are and when they like to receive stuff by. And that's the whole point of having these conversations with them. Radio and television have very short lead times, so give them a few days' notice of your news. A lot of the time they're interested in sort of business news rather than product news, which is fairly obvious. But if you are looking to promote your business or an event you're holding, it's worth contacting your local radio and television station. You'd actually be really surprised at the interest that there is in these things. Finally, your product needs you. Your shop needs you. Whatever you do, it needs you to promote it, because it won't promote itself. There's no point sitting in a corner and going, oh, well, they'll find us. I mean, I know you know this already, but you've really got to be persistent and proactive. You need to have confidence in what it is you're selling. And you need to be realistic. It's not likely you're going to be featured in the Sunday Times overnight. It does take time. But if you set aside time each day, each week to do your PR, you will get there. It's not an exact science. There's no guarantee that your story will be picked up. And quite often, actually, you make a call and a journalist says, no, I'm not interested. And people get so despondent after 3 of those calls, they put the phone down, they don't do it again. But the more calls you make, the more likely you are to actually get a yes. So I couldn't stress enough about the persistence. Keep going. And if you do decide to advertise, then there's a good opportunity to negotiate with magazines to get editorial coverage. Because if you're spending £500 on an ad, they want to keep you as a customer. So you can say to them, okay, well, if I advertise with you, could you guarantee me some editorial? It's worth having that chat. But get to know people, be persistent, and do your research are the key messages I want to get across to you today. Thank you.